Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-410-6744. 800-410-6744. 800-410-6744.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Now open in Scottsdale. It's United Forte Custom Door Showroom with 40,000 Euro doors and hundreds of state-of-the-art designs and finishes on display, plus kitchen cabinets, bathroom vanities, and more, all at wholesale prices. Builders, contractors, designers, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Forte, P-O-R-T-E. Stop by to see and feel the quality. United Forte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
It's fall football season, and Kasai Japanese Steakhouse is doubling down. Now with 2 Valley locations. When it comes to Asian cuisine, no one does it better and more authentic than Kasai, where talented Teppan chefs create the food, the fire, and the fun of teppanyaki. Kasai Japanese Steakhouse isn't just dinner, it's dinnertainment. A memorable dining experience where a delicious 7-course meal is paired right at your table with flair. It's a perfect choice for celebrations, date nights, or a night on the town. Choose from over 30 different items and combinations of teppanyaki, Asian fusion, and innovative sushi. Happy hour is always on fire and offered daily with specials on their Asian-inspired comfort food like Korean steak tacos, Mongolian barbecue ribs, and signature Wagyu beef sliders. Always a memorable dinner, or catch the game and a bite at the bar at Kasai. Now with 2 locations, Scottsdale Road in Thunderbird, and in Peoria at the 101 in Northern. Go to KasaiTeppan.com. That's Kasai Teppan.com, or search Kasai on your mobile phone.
KQFN Tempe.
Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM.
Wherever you go, take us along. Listen to our live stream on our free Fanatic app. Download it today.
And welcome back. It is a Thursday edition of Beat the Book. I'm Keon Rose. Alongside me, our betting expert, Dylan Cohen, broadcasting live from the Harvard Solar Studios in sunny uptown Scottsdale. We had our Christmas party today at the radio station. And I don't think that's anything compared to the party we're about to have, DC, because we got a story here about the New York Jets that is unbelievable, and I don't mean that hyperbolically. I mean literally, this story is not to be believed, except we've got a lot of thorough interviews done by The Athletic. There's oh my God. We'll just have to get to it. There's no setting this up in any way that you're going to be able to expect or anticipate. We'll also talk about some of the college football that happened last night, because, you know, we put out some information on there for you to bet on potentially, and if you cashed in, well, you know, good for you. We're always happy for you. Talk about your bets, by the way. How did those hit for you last night? Did they go? Did they not work so well? We want to know. We'll also talk a little bit of Suns Pacers tonight. We'll get to that. And then we'll wrap things up as we always do with the best bets to make tonight here on Beat the Book. But before we get to any and all of those things, Dylan, who powers the show?
We are powered by Sport Trade. Make sure you search Sport Trade on your smartphone, get the app downloaded, and use promo code 1580 to take advantage of their 10% cashback promotion on all the bets that you place in your first week. And, you know, we had this whole first segment planned out. We were going to kind of go through some of the things that happened in college football last night, college basketball last night. We did give out some picks on the air yesterday for some of those things. And they did pretty well. But over the last couple of hours, there was an article that came out from The Athletic, and there was also some contribution from the New York Times in this. So pretty credible outlets.
Yeah, I think the New York Times actually bought The Athletic.
Okay, so
yeah.
that was where I was like, I know that there's some relationship between the two in there. And this article is about the New York Jets owner, Woody Johnson, and it is summarizing the just general dysfunction of the franchise. And that was pretty apparent, you know, obviously just seeing a lot of the motions that the Jets have gone through this season. But there was a bombshell dropped in this article because it was revealed that over the last I mean, at least a couple of seasons. Who knows how long this has been going on? But Woody Johnson is being influenced by his adolescent children. He has 2 teenage boys. We believe they're roughly 18 and 16 years old. His kids have been, giving their dad their thoughts on the football team, and none of this is surprising. I myself am the son of a business owner. I have the business owner's ear from time to time. I'm passionate about the family business. I'll share my thoughts about the business. I'm not shocked that his kids are doing that, but the bombshell is that it turns out Woody Johnson has been listening to his boys and has been making organizational decisions based on his teenage son's opinions.
And the teenage sons, by the way, are not informed by, they're not reading the Athlon magazine to start every season. They're being informed by Madden. This man is making decisions based on what his kids are telling him the Madden ratings are.
I'm speechless. I am literally speechless. So what the more specific story came out about for this was that last season, the Jets were in talks with the Denver Broncos to try and acquire Jerry Jeudy. And, Aaron Rodgers, he was out all of last season. He had the torn Achilles, but this would have at least helped set the table a bit better for him coming into this season to give him another weapon to work with. And the Broncos and the Jets got very deep into conversations. They pretty much had the full trade ironed out. It was ready to go. Just needed Woody to sign off on it. It was in the final stages. And at the 11th hour, Woody backed out of the trade. And at the time, the Jets general manager, Joe Douglas, he was in communication with George Patton, who was his counterpart with the Denver Broncos. And he had to make a call to George and say, hey, man, they're pulling the plug. I know this is going to sound really crazy, but Woody does not like Jerry Jeudy's Madden rating. And that's coming from, his boys. And, and I don't know that this is what George Patton said verbatim, but I have to imagine that there's probably, some swear words in there. Some like, you got to be kidding me, any kind of general reaction that any of us would have to something outrageous as this. This is a true story. And I encourage everyone out there to check out this article from The Athletic. It's pretty ironclad the way that they put this article together. They went back, they spoke to 20 different former players, current players, former executives, current executives. They're granting all of these people anonymity to, give them some protection. Obviously, some of them are still with the organization. You don't want to have this article, cause people to get fired. But this article is shedding a lot of light on A, just the general dysfunction that we've seen out of this team all season. But B, there were a number of organizational decisions that this team made. And the timing of it was odd. And we tried to make sense of it on this show.
Yeah, like the Davante Adams trade was an odd one. And so like when you start looking at the players like we were doing before the show, when you start looking at the players the Jets have made a move for or decided not to make a move for, and you just look at the Madden ratings, suddenly you start to understand why the Jets do any of the things the Jets do, only that's insane. This is a crazy way to run a football organization, is based off of Madden ratings, except they killed the Jeudy trade, which would have been more advantageous for the Jets. They would have given up less for Jeudy, who, by the way, is having a great season now that he's with the Cleveland Browns. It worked out for him. He's doing very well. They could have gotten Jeudy for less than they got Adams for, but Judy's rating on Madden isn't a 90 like Davante Adams is. So that's the reason why that trade seems to make a whole lot more sense in hindsight when you consider that.
But then, I even think about just when they turned around and fired Robert Saleh. That happened after the first 5 games of the season. The Jets were 2-3 at the time, and they were heading into a matchup against the Bills. That was going to be like a big primetime matchup. And they had every opportunity to still keep their season afloat, keep all their postseason hopes alive. Like, the timing of that firing made absolutely no sense. And then now you get this added context to where, well, perhaps Woody is really weighing his children's opinions like way too highly, higher than the actual people on his payroll that he's paying millions to. to actually make these decisions and make informed decisions. And there was a quote that came out that you brought my attention to, Keon, from Joe Douglas. And do we know, did this quote come out after he was fired?
No, this quote came out before the season started. And the quote is, "I answered to a teenager," said ex-GM of the Jets, Joe Douglas. He knew he was answering to kids. That's crazy. Like, this is actually one of the most insane things I've ever learned about the workings of an organization, maybe in my entire life.
Well, and it's funny because you think about the time of when that quote came out. So, like, the people hearing it, they probably were just like, "Oh, he's being sarcastic." And
yeah,
he knew that like people were perceiving it like that, but he was also like, it was probably like,
it just felt like a cry for help.
Exactly. It was probably like 20% cry for help.
Yeah.
Like, like he should have just snuck in like a no joking,
no, really. I do answer to a teenager. Woody Johnson's children, Jack and or Brick. They are the ones that are telling him what to do, and then I have to figure out a way to make reality out of what these two kids think happened in the game of Madden. The Jets are an organization of dysfunction on a level all of their own right now.
And I mean, if you want to take this one step further, they say that like CEOs and big business tycoons, like many of them are like psychotic. There was one portion of this article that really stuck out to me. Ahead of the Jets and Giants preseason finale at MetLife Stadium in 2019, an administrative assistant popped into the team's coaching offices to make an announcement to then head coach Adam Gase and his staff. Woody Johnson, who was serving as the U.S. ambassador to the UK in the Trump administration, was temporarily returning from London. The assistant said that everyone should refer to Johnson as Mr. Ambassador. So that in itself, a little wonky, but fine. He's got the title. He gets that respect. But that whole dynamic has held true long after Johnson left government and returned to his role as Jets chairman in January of 2021, striking a discordant tone among those who believe the organization has long been plagued by mismanagement. And I have to say, if Woody Johnson in 2024 is still insisting on being referred to as Mr. Ambassador, that is a red flag. I'm sorry. Like, there's just certain ways that you need to conduct yourself and you need to behave when you are the owner of an NFL team, someone that employs many people and is a public figure. And this is just not a good look. I mean, it already is a little weird that you're just demanding people, refer to this title that has nothing to do with your organization or that role within it. But, for the years after the fact, like, you can't call me Mr. Johnson. I'm Mr. Ambassador to you.
It's like, but you're not an ambassador anymore. It's not like being the president where once you're the president, you're always Mr. President, because that title goes to like one person every 4 to 8 years, roughly. This is different. This is not the same. You don't get to just sit there and do that. And like, it adds to this air of dysfunctionality. Like you said, it's not a bad look. It's not just a bad look. It leads to other things in the organization where people are just like, it's just a crazy house here. One player said, and this is another quote from The Athletic, "There are organizations where it is all set up for you to win. It feels completely different with the Jets. It's the most dysfunctional place imaginable."
It's funny because like, I mean, people are like screaming this like from the mountaintops, and they have been screaming it for a long time. And it's taking an article like this to really, drive it home that, hey, like you want to talk about dysfunctional, like just plagued NFL franchises, like this is your go-to spot. And no figure, I mean, the Jets have the longest drought of not making the postseason, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, this goes all the way back to when he bought the team. Bill Belichick was the coach at the time, and Woody Johnson thought, I'm going to get Bill. Like that, me buying the team, I'm going to inherit Bill Belichick and all of this. And then Bill Belichick lasted exactly one day. He said, "I resign as head coach of the New York Jets," on a napkin at his introductory news conference before bolting for the Patriots. Bill Belichick didn't want anything to do with this. Someone out of Bill Belichick's camp, when they reached out to ask him about it, He said that Woody Johnson's approach to running the organization was ready, fire, aim.
Oh
it's just, I mean, so this has been going on since at least when he bought the team. Like, this is not a new thing about Woody Johnson, but like, I know this from having a guy that was dysfunctional that ran a team that I root for, Washington Commanders fan, Daniel Snyder, who we agree is still the gold standard of horrible owners in sports in general, but in the NFL in particular. Daniel Snyder bought the Commanders back in 1998. And when he bought the team, they didn't immediately turn to crap. It took a few years. And then after about a decade, it was unfixable. It was irreparable. So Woody Johnson buys the Jets in 2000. It makes sense that they were still an AFC title contender by 2010. But you can't own a team for 20 years, run it to where you're listening to your 16 and 18-year-old children. You're citing Madden ratings when you're talking about who should you sign, who should you cut. There's another story in the article, I'm not going to read the quote because it's kind of long, that talks about how there was a guard that they almost didn't sign because his awareness on Madden was low. They ended up signing him anyway. Pro Football Focus currently has him as the 8th best guard in the league right now. They almost didn't sign him because of his Madden awareness rating. Like, it's just crazy in there. That's bonkers to me. It absolutely is bonkers.
Well, and like you think about, like, could you ever possibly see this like in another sport? You know, would James Jones, you know, make some decision about, you know, wanting to make a trade for a guy, but then Matt Ishbia looks at it and then he talks about it with his kids and they go, no, you know, his 2K rating is a 78. We can't have that. You know, there's absolutely no room. Look at his ball handling. It's a 55. We can't take that here. You know, I mean, this is insanity. This is literal insanity. And you have to remember too, I mean, I'm a little more familiar about how it works with 2K. I just personally don't ever play Madden, but at 2K, there is literally a guy that works for 2K Sports, and he is like the ultimate authority on those ratings. It's, you know, Ronnie is like his name.
Yeah, it's not a guy for Madden, but it's like a small group of them. It's like 5 or 10 people who basically go and like in the preseason, they'll have the players do all of these different things.
There's really no objective way for them to like determine these ratings. Like, there's some portion of it that is just truly their opinion.
Yeah.
And so that is the standard that you're going to use for making really important, crucial decisions that dictate the future of your team's performance based on how some dudes in a room over at EA for Madden, you know, see the league. And then, you know, then it's really not based on that. It's based on how your teenage sons perceive those people's opinions.
Yeah, we're doing too many layers of stupid at this particular point.
And you also pay someone at the same time to also, you know, think about all this stuff for you, but you're not actually going to listen.
Or it's and like they said that the Madden ratings were given just as much weight as anything else. It's like, mate, you pay a general manager, you pay analysts, you pay scouts. You already have people who give you ratings. It's their job. If you don't like the ratings they're giving you, I suppose you could fire them, but do that. Don't just start listening to the Madden ones.
You know, I heard this really wild story earlier this week about Jerry Jones enjoying eating squirrel brains. I thought that was the craziest thing that I had heard from an NFL owner this week.
Yeah. Who knew that Woody Johnson was going to have that beat and have it beat like 20 years ago? Like, he didn't even do it today. He's been doing it for 2 decades. Wes O'Grande said the Jets' antics make me wish that Tecmo Bowl was still around. Look, there's nothing that you could do in Tecmo Bowl that's more unrealistic than what the Jets are doing in real, actual life with an actual NFL franchise being run this way. And it's bad if you're a Jets fan. I don't know how many Jets fans we have out there, but the reason why this is bad is because at some point you just tank the credibility of an organization and nobody will work for you as long as the owner of that team is still there. Again, take it from me, a Commanders fan. Nobody wanted to work for Washington. Like, that was just a thing. They couldn't hire good general managers. They couldn't hire good front office executives because they had no credibility. And what nobody wanted to do was work for the Commanders and then have their reputation ruined trying to fix a team they couldn't fix. They hired Adam Peters from the San Francisco 49ers this year to be the general manager. And like the first thing that Peters said was, yeah, it's a new day in Washington. I feel great about being here now. Because nobody felt good about being there before. You wouldn't have taken the Commander's job if you were any good at that job. You wouldn't have taken the Commander's job ever.
Well, and the timing of this story coming out, as the season is winding down, the off season is just around the corner where you're going to be looking to shuffle the deck and try and bring in some new talent, possibly some new executives, some new scouts. What about this story makes anyone want to come and work for the Jets? And then the other thing that I think about too is, Aaron Rodgers' Madden rating right now. I just threw this into Google. It's telling me it is currently a 77. I can't imagine the boys are thrilled with a 77 from their quarterback. They're probably telling their dad it's time to move on.
It's time to move on and let it go. I mean, it was so bad when they fired Joe Douglas. They fired Robert Saleh week 5. They fired Joe Douglas 6 weeks later. And Joe Douglas, the quote from Joe Douglas at the time, not now, that the story's coming out, then is that he felt, and I quote, a sense of relief after being fired by the Jets. Joe Douglas, when you read how he talks about it, again, at the time he was fired, not now, it reads like a guy who was a hostage.
Right. He's been,
He's just there
he has
against
been
his
free.
will.
He was a prisoner. He was handcuffed. And that's exactly why he was so happy. They finally let him free. And now everything's kind of coming full circle. And you just take a step back and you go, wow, yeah, no, this team really is as dysfunctional as they look. And this is why. And now we know.
An executive told Diana Rossini, this is the happiest Joe Douglas has sounded in a long time. Maybe it's been years since Joe Douglas has even cracked a smile. I mean, it's
hey, you know what though? Ironic how the timing works and all this. Trump administration is coming in. They're probably going to give him a new assignment as an ambassador.
Yeah,
he'll be on his way to the UK, and maybe that's better.
Yeah,
for
maybe
the Jets.
everybody.
Some distance there.
I wonder if we go back and look at what the Jets did while he was working as ambassador last time. And they
probably
get
some of their best years. I have to imagine.
You have to think, was there just a wave of like, okay, maybe we can actually get some bleep done right now?
There's probably a correlation between like Woody Johnson's physical location to his franchise. Like, the further away he gets from it, the better they perform. I would not be shocked.
I wouldn't find it surprising either. So there you go. That's the bombshell story on the Jets this fine Thursday afternoon. We had a different show planned for today, and then we just had to do that because you will watch the NFL your whole life and never encounter anything like that in your entire life. The kids and their opinions on the Madden ratings are holding just as much weight as your scouting department. You can't win meaningful games that way. I don't care what anybody actually says. So you're listening to Beat the Book right here on 1580 The Fanatic. On the other side, we've got Suns, we've got Pacers tonight. We'll break it down next.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
At Diamond Dave's Desert Wholesale Diamond,
we offer incredible diamonds, both mined and cultivated, all at amazingly low prices.
Check out these cultivated lab-grown diamond earrings.
2 carats total weight, collection color and lab-grown, only $25.90.
And she'd love this amazing tennis bracelet in natural mined.
4 carats total weight in yellow or white gold, only $39.90.
And how about this diamond chain in cultivated?
12.5 carats total weight, collection color and lab-grown, only $79.90.
And last but not least, especially this year, 1.5 carat floating diamond pendant.
Collection color and lab grown, only $9.90.
Call, email, or message us for an in-person appointment.
Or sit back and relax for free FedEx shipping anywhere in the USA.
Call Diamond Dave at 480-397-2450. That's 480-397-2450. Or follow him on Instagram at Diamond Dave Cantor. That's at Diamond Dave Kantor.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS.
They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-8695. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-8695. That's 800-575-8695. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
Hi, guys. Jeffrey O'Brien here. Have you ever gone to HarmonSolar.com? Well, you really need to, because everything you ever wanted to know about how solar power can save you big on your monthly electric bill is right there. It's online. Through your phone or through your computer, you can learn about tax credits, the equipment they use, look at how they do things for businesses as well as homeowners, see testimonials from happy customers, and I hear they got a pretty good podcast, too. Check it out. Go to HarmonSolar.com. That's HarmonSolar.com.
Lowe's knows how to help you save time and money, no matter the job. That's why we can deliver supplies to your job site as soon as same day, so you have more time to get the job done. Because when you need it fast, we've got you covered. Lowe's knows pros. Valid on eligible in-stock orders and select zip codes placed by 2 p.m. for same-day delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Fees vary based on purchase. More terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Download the Fanatic app.
News, scores, social media updates, and more on your smartphone, on your tablet. The free Fanatic app, available at the Google Play Store or the App Store and at 1580thefanatic.com.
While it would be funny and hilarious to keep laughing about the Jets for about another hour, we can't do that. We don't have enough time. We've got to get to the Suns. They're playing tonight. They're taking on the Indiana Pacers. And what are we looking at first here in this matchup, Dylan?
So first and foremost, just keep in mind, we are back to the regular season. NBA Cup games are all done with. So going forward, it is all about just trying to have, the best possible record to position yourself for the playoffs. So, with that being said, we can go back to, expecting more of an offensive kind of a game. It's not going to be like the NBA Cup where I was very heavy on unders all around. The Suns are taking on the Pacers tonight, and the Pacers are a bottom 5 defense in the NBA. And this is a great time for Devin Booker in particular to get his semi-annual matchup with the Pacers, because Devin Booker has been hitting his stride lately. And, he's not really been drawing a whole lot of attention to that just because the Suns, unfortunately, were without Kevin Durant for much of that time when we were losing. But obviously, since he's been back, the wins are starting to come through again. We're on a 2-game winning streak, and Devin Booker has scored 25 or more points in 9 out of his last 10 games. And then you take a look at how he performs more specifically against the Indiana Pacers, and that's where things start to get really exciting, because for those who may not recall, Devin Booker in his last matchup against the Indiana Pacers going back to January of this year, which was last season, Devin Booker dropped 62 points on the Pacers in Indiana. The other game that he played against them last season, he had 26. So that gives him a average of 44 points per game through 2 games. Look, is he going to drop 62 tonight? I doubt it. But if you want to count on Devin Booker to just at least keep the status quo and continue to get those 25 or more points, that is absolutely a bet that I recommend. That's actually something that I had on the 6 Point Play podcast. There is a new episode that came out today. That's on Apple and Spotify. That's where I put all of my best NBA betting recommendations. So I encourage you to check it out. It's a 10-minute podcast, pretty quick. And then there is a new post for Beat the Book with some bets for Thursday night football, some bets for other NBA stuff tonight. You can get there by following me on Instagram. The tag is at Beat the Book Fanatic, all spelled out. You just hit the link in the bio. That'll take you right to the Beat the Book website where the bets get posted. You can also visit 1580thefanatic.com. Just click on the Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen logo. That'll take you right to the same place so you can see what those picks are going to be. Now, as far as, other kinds of bets to look at making in this game, you'll see on the Beat the Book site, one of my top 2 picks for today is for the Suns to cover an alternate spread. It's very possible they may cover the actual spread, which right now is 6.5, but you can still take that down a little bit just to be a little bit more conservative. You're not sacrificing very much on the price. So I recommended bringing that line down to 4.5. Right now on FanDuel, that's paying -142. So that could potentially be a leg that you can leverage in a parlay if you're looking to parlay, winning teams or spreads, or if you just want to bet that straight up, then that would actually probably be a better one to take a look at on Sport Trade, where you can get a better price on that line. Other than Devin Booker, though, keep in mind the Suns will have Bradley Beal back in action. So, normally that wouldn't necessarily bode as well for Booker points. Typically when you have the big 3 in, there's a little bit higher of a degree of uncertainty, of how the points are going to get distributed.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, Booker has such a great track record against the Pacers, and with Beal still being a little bit rusty, missing the last couple of weeks really because of just a light schedule and not playing, as many games. I mean, he'll be fresh hopefully, but this is really going to be Booker and Durant's time to shine. And I see Beal, really playing that kind of third, of the big 3 role, and trying to help the Suns win. Keon, I mean, is there anything you like about this matchup tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think that Bradley Beal's going to upset the apple cart too much. And the reason why is I was looking at Devin Booker's splits of when he plays with Durant versus when he doesn't play with Durant. And what I noticed is that the numbers without Durant have included some games with Beal doesn't really seem to have disrupted him at all. It doesn't seem to have stopped Devin Booker. He's going to score 25 points a game, regardless of who he's with. The question is just how efficient is he? And when Durant's out there, and quite frankly, when Beal's out there, it gives him more space. He's a more efficient version of himself. And so, yeah, I 100% agree, by the way, with his stats. And in fact, like when you look at the percentages, his 3-point shooting percentage is higher when he's playing with Durant. His true shooting percentage is higher when he's playing with Durant. Like a lot of these things are the same if you just go base counting stats. But when you start to look at the percentages, he's just doing them on fewer shots. He is being much more efficient. I think all of those guys bring out the best in each other. I think another thing that I would probably look out for is just like Durant himself. He's the guy that ultimately makes this team go. And when you look at what Kevin Durant is able to do against teams that don't defend well, and the Pacers don't, the Suns are going to have themselves a nice day, even from Durant's perspective, where you could probably look for a game for him that's maybe like 30 points. I mean, he could have one of those performances, and I don't think it would take away from Booker at all.
And also too, going back to Booker, part of his recent success is just this more recent turnaround in his shooting efficiency, especially from 3-point range. Booker has shot 46% from 3 or better in his last 2 games, and he's made 10 3-pointers over his last 2 games. And that was a huge turnaround from the road trip that, he was on before, where he was 1 of 5 from 3 against the Magic. He was 1 of 6 from 3 against the Heat. He was 3 of 10 when he played the Pelicans. So, if Booker's going to be, bringing that level of shooting to the table, this Pacers team, we said, they're not a great defensive team. He's going to get space on, the 3-point shot. He'll probably even find some more of those mid-range looks that, he hasn't been taking as much of in Coach Budenholzer's, game plan. But if you wanted to look at taking Devin Booker 3-pointers made, just given the recent success that he's had, it looks like he's in a little bit of a hot streak right now from 3. Let's see here. I'm just pulling up the line on this. So his line is basically over under 2.5 made 3-pointers. If you take the over, that's paying -125. But if you think he's going to do just as well as he's done in his last 2 games, you can take him for 4 or more 3-pointers. That's paying plus 210 right now. That would not be a bad leg to consider there. And then other than that, also wanted to just shout out Tyus Jones because, if we're playing a team that is bottom 5 in defense and they tend to play a fairly faster paced game than most teams, then there's just going to be more shots being taken from both sides. So if there's more shots being taken from the Suns, that's more potential for a guy like Tyus Jones to be the one getting the assist, when the shot goes up. And you take a look at Tyus Jones right now and how he's doing with his assists. And in 3 out of his last 5 games, he has had 6 or more assists. And then keep in mind, out of those last 5 games, I'm pretty sure the big 3 has not played in any one of those. So now he's got the big 3, either Bradley Beal's been gone or Kevin Durant's been gone. He hasn't had that 3 together. Now he does, which just, opens up the floor for him even more. He's been scoring a lot more lately. I'm expecting that to go down now this game because he can slide back into that facilitator type
and
of
he
a role.
prefers it. He clearly doesn't want to be the guy that has to score. He's capable of it. Doesn't seem to enjoy it very much.
So that's where, he'll be kind of going back to the things that are more within his skill set. His last game against the Trailblazers, he only had 4 assists, but that was also a game where he shot 88% field goals, 100% from 3 and scored 19 points. So look, if it's just one of those games where like you're hot and everything you're shooting is going in, I don't expect you to pass the ball. But if we're kind of going back down to normal now for Tyus Jones and he's not making every single shot that he puts up, then he's going to be looking to pass. He's going to be looking to get, the rest of the team involved. And that is another prop you can consider for your bets tonight. Tyus Jones, 6 or more assists. And, like I said before, make sure you check out the 6 Point Play podcast. There's other NBA bets there. You can check out the Beat the Book website. There are other NBA props different from the podcast stuff. So plenty of different bets to go around.
Yeah. On the text line, Kendrick the Schmendrick has a couple of questions. One is about the spread on tonight's game, if it's worth playing, the football game. We'll get to that one in a second. But the other question was, what's the one thing that could go right for the Pacers that would impact the game against the Suns tonight?
I mean, if the 3-point ball is falling for them, that's not good for the Suns. And that is the one thing with the Pacers is they've got a ton of shooters on that team. You look at a guy like Benedict Mathurin, Pascal Siakam, Tyrese Halliburton is a dangerous 3-point shooter. The problem is that a lot of these guys on their team, they're also streaky. And it's kind of like they're all going to do really, really well together. Or they're all going to do really, really poorly together. And so far, for much of this season, it's been the latter. And that's the reason why at this point in time, the Indiana Pacers have a 12-15 record. And keep in mind, their road record, 4-11. So out of the 15 losses they have, 11 of them are coming on the road. So that does not, look good right now for the Pacers coming into their game, against the Suns, where, they're pretty far from home. This is going to be a pretty good crowd I am expecting at the Footprint Center tonight, especially with the big 3 back, especially with all of this chatter right now of us potentially being in the mix for Jimmy Butler. There's a ton of excitement for Phoenix Suns basketball, and this is just a great time for the Suns to get this matchup. It's going to go a long way in terms of momentum and, just keeping the confidence, that this team did lose a bit when we went 1-9, without Durant. So, we're looking to kind of turn the page on all that and start to build some more momentum, heading towards the All-Star break in February. And the Suns have plenty of time and plenty of games to be able to, really get back on top of the division and really start to make some progress towards, leading the conference.
So that hopefully that answers your question there. I do think that the Pacers are just such a bad defensive team that even if they were scoring the basketball well, what are they, bottom 5 defensively?
They are, here I have it pulled up. Yep, they are 25th out of 30. They allow 117.3 points per game to opponents.
And against this fully healthy Suns team, like there just isn't a whole lot that I trust the Pacers to do well, even if the 3 ball is falling for them, to be able to win this game, unless like every Sun is ice cold. And we just haven't seen that when Durant and Beal and Booker have been out on the floor together. And then they've also been able to, be led by Tyus Jones out there. Like this is the team that is the maximum potential of a Mike Budenholzer team. Like Bud wants exactly this lineup on the floor, and you can tell that it's what he wants because it's been incredibly successful, in his time coaching the team. So like that's probably one of the things that stands out to me the most in this game is that like I don't know what the Pacers would do to actually win this game that I realistically think would happen.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I see them potentially winning, it would be a combination of like a cold shooting night from the Suns, and then they're going to have to be getting contributions from guys like Obi Toppin, Andrew Nembhard. It can't just be something where it's all on Tyrese Halliburton. It's all on, Pascal Siakam. Miles Turner, this is actually someone that you may even want to consider playing him and playing his player props for either points or 3-pointers made. The only reason I say that is because Yusuf Nurkic, if you watch this guy play basketball right now, it's kind of scary. It's very concerning. The man walks more than he runs. And he walks more than he runs, like from the moment he gets into the game, not like after he's been up and down the court a few times and is justifiably winded. He's like winded from the moment that he steps on the floor. So I look at a guy like Miles Turner, and if I'm Yusuf Nurkic and I walk more than I run, how well am I going to cover Miles Turner is one of the best 3-point shooting big men in the NBA.
And Turner's got a motor too. Like if you want to talk about a guy that runs more than he walks, Miles Turner is like the anti-Nurkic.
Now, luckily, we don't have to take a whole lot of that from Nurkic. If that's the kind of play we're getting out of him, he's going to take a very quick seat on the bench. We've got Plumlee, we've got Oso Ighodaro. Are those guys going to be good enough, defenders on Turner to like completely hamstring him? Probably not. But this is something that, and we'll definitely get into more of this later on. It wouldn't be in this show, but at some point, there's definitely a conversation about Yusuf Nurkic that needs to be had, because if this is the level of energy that we're getting out of this guy, this is just not going to work for this team. It's not going to work for the amount of money that he's being paid, and he's going to have to go.
Yeah, and by the way, he's making an awful lot of money. So wrapping that up, we will get on to the NFL game tonight right here on 1580 The Fanatic. We'll talk about that next. This is Beat the Book right here.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
The Fanatic is your home for fall football. Catch the NFL and NCAA live games on 1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic. Brought to you by Bet365. It's never ordinary at Bet365.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40, and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-694-1010. That's 1-800-694-1010. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. 1-800-694-1010. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
There's going to be a lot more games that tickets get to that price. So if you want to be a part of them, you better buy season tickets. You better do it right now. You better sell it out, because we're going to have a lot more games where this state wants to show up to. Buy your season tickets. Let's make that every single week of next year. Because why would you not want to be in that environment? It's one of the most fun places to be in college football. Why would you not want to do that every Saturday?
Get your Sun Devil football tickets today by calling 480-727-0000 or go online to sundeviltickets.com.
In most countries of the world, Porte means door. United Porte Custom Doors, located in the Scottsdale Airport Design District, is now open with over 40,000 European doors, all in stock, ready for delivery, and at wholesale prices. Designers, contractors, builders, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Porte, Porte. Stop by to see and feel the quality at United Porte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
My name is Mary Grace. There are a few misconceptions about Alzheimer's. It's not just memory loss. It's the loss of mobility, the risk of falling.
For more information, contact the Alzheimer's Association at alz.org, sponsored by the Alzheimer's Association.
So, what's your favorite thing about sports? The excitement, the action, or the 5-meat pizza and the six-pack?
Bingo. That's what we thought.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic, and always on at 1580thefanatic.com.
By the way, there was a question I wanted to ask you right before the break, but we were up against it. Not to take too much time, but Jordan McCain kind of injured a little bit. Does that change how you look at Rookie of the Year? And we don't have to do a deep thing.
Yeah. No. But that actually is a pretty good question, because that is an area of opportunity.
A little deeper tomorrow, even if you want to do that.
So I'm pulling up the market on that right now, because Stephon Castle is the guy that kind of emerged as like the clear-cut favorite once Jared McCain went down. And he's going to be someone that is going to be difficult to try and take over. And that's just because he plays a very big role right now on the Spurs team. He's getting a lot of starts on that team. He honestly looks like he's like improving game after game. You can see that, the things that Chris Paul must be doing with him behind the scenes are working very well. So like right now, he is the outright favorite at plus 160. Then you've got Yves Missy. I probably mispronounced
Yves Missy.
Mm-hmm. Plus 280. He is on the Pelicans, and he's been getting a lot of playing time this year just because of all the injuries on that team. Then you've got Dalton Connect, who's the third most likely, 5-1, and then from there it really starts to kind of separate. At this point, Zachary Risacher is 17-1, and
he's playing much better.
He's a number one pick. We've already seen a 30-plus point game out of him. I think that's another guy that's just getting better and better. And if it wasn't for how well, like, the more senior guys on the Hawks were playing, like, he would get a lot more of just, time and chances and reps to be able to show what he can do. But, DeAndre Hunter is having like a career season right now. Jalen Johnson's having a career season right now. Trae Young is having a very great season right now. And it's hard to show your worth when all these other guys are shining around you. So could that dynamic change? Could there be some big trade before the trade deadline that dramatically shakes up the, totem pole of the players on the Hawks that could then lead to Risacher getting a much, bigger opportunity, taking a lot more shots and being able to put up a lot more stat-worthy things on paper? To me, that's where I see the opportunity right now based on the pricing. Zachary Risacher, 17-1 to win the Rookie of the Year award. I would put my money on that.
Yeah, the guy looks good, and like you said, if the Hawks do decide, hey, look, we're a good team right now, but we don't think that we're a title team or anything like that, and I don't think they are. But if they think that they can cash out on one of these guys, then that's going to open the door for Risacher to play a lot more. And once that happens, I think we will see how good he is. I think that maybe Trae Young's comments about him not being ready enough to do anything this year might have been a little overblown, because the guy clearly has just a great awareness on the court. He's got a high basketball IQ. He seems to always know where to be on the floor to get the best or easiest shots, and he's knocking them down. Like, I just think that like that, there's something there. There's more than a lot there.
I'm not ready to call Risacher a bust by any means. Like, he won't be the best player out of that class, but like, he was a number one pick for a reason. A lot of people saw a lot of value in him, and everyone from the start has been on him as a long-term project. No one has really said, this guy's going to be an all-star year one, like how Wemby was, basically hyped up to be. And he was as advertised. So, that's that. Let's get into Broncos and Chargers here. We don't have a whole lot of time. This game is going to be on 1580 The Fanatic. It's going to be coming up after the Daily Blender, so make sure you stick around for that. And this game is taking place in Los Angeles. It's going to be at SoFi Stadium. The Chargers are a 2.5-point favorite on the spread. They are priced at -154 on the money line. And, normally I'm not a big fan of betting on the team that is traveling and got burned because the Rams went to the 49ers and won the most ugly game that we've seen, of the season pretty much.
Now, part of that was getting burned was that everybody involved in that game was bad. It wasn't just the team that was traveling. It was both of them.
It was everyone, right? So, we could be in for more of that tonight, but you take a look at these two teams right now, and it's completely different kinds of momentum. The Chargers have lost 3 out of their last 4 games. They're limping into this matchup. Justin Herbert has been depressing over that 4-game stretch. He hasn't thrown for more than 218 passing yards over his last 4 games. Meanwhile, on the Broncos, they have won their last 4 games straight. And we've known, what kind of a defense this team has all year, but particularly that game last week against the Colts. Bo Nix did not have a great game, very concerning, and the defense stepped up in the second half and won the team the game. So coming into this matchup, I can't help but just side with the value on the underdog here. The Broncos, so far this season, they are 6-1 on the road against the spread. And a few of those games, they didn't win. They were the dogs in them and they just covered the spread being an underdog, but they didn't win. So if you'd like a little bit more security in this game, then take the Broncos at +2.5. I think they're going to win outright, and you can just take advantage of the over even money payout on the money line. But right now, the way that this Broncos defense is playing, and with Herbert's ankle, I know they're trying to change the narrative and say he's all good and he practiced on Wednesday. He's fine. He still missed practice. It was Tuesday, and I think he might have missed Monday too.
Mm-hmm.
So that ankle is not 100%. And he's going to be dealing with some very aggressive pass rushers coming at him tonight. How mobile is he going to be? And that's where, at least my best advice here, I would not count on this just being some big offensive spectacle, which I know is something I've already said, earlier this week pertaining to another game, but the same thing kind of applies here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these teams are still playing on a short week at the end of the season. You don't have as much energy as you normally have. You're really just looking to come away with a win. It doesn't matter what it looks like. And those are the type of games where I just think the Broncos defense, we're going to see a similar performance where they're going to be a little underwhelming first half, then second half, they're really going to turn it on. They're going to make some plays, force some turnovers, and it's going to be enough to get the Broncos the win. I was going to say, how do you see it?
I agree with you. And so does Baker's Cocky Hens on the text line, by the way. He says the Broncos defense won't be beaten by Gus Edwards. And that basically is it, because the Gus Edwards running game for the Chargers, when Gus has been by himself, J.K. Dobbins got injured back in week 12, hasn't been great. You referenced the Justin Herbert passing numbers over the last 4 weeks. Well, what's the thing that happened 4 weeks ago? J.K. Dobbins is out. And ever since then, the passing yards for Justin Herbert went from something where the guy was clearing 215, 220 yards easily, weekly, going all the way back to the beginning of the season. And now he's lucky to get to 175 most weeks. So that's where he's at, because the Chargers are still very stubborn. Harbaugh is still very stubborn. He wants to run the football and then set up the pass from there. You've got that combined with the Justin Herbert, who is far from 100%, with a Broncos defense that is playing great football, and Bo Nix, who last week aside, where he had the 4 interception worst day of his career so far, Bo Nix doesn't make a ton of mistakes usually in that offense. So I think a lot of this adds up towards the Broncos just winning outright.
So, I mean, yeah, we're definitely on the same page there. Make sure you check out the Beat the Book website, because there are some additional player props posted on there. If you can't tell, we both really like the under on Justin Herbert's passing yards. The line is 228.5. Which again is much higher than anything that he's done in the last 4 weeks since J.K. Dobbins went down. And he's going up against one of the best defenses in the entire NFL tonight. That does not look good for Justin Herbert, having a pretty productive passing game. Also, Denver's other running back, Jaleel McLaughlin, he's out tonight, which means Javonte Williams is going to get a lot more carries than normal. I actually picked him for an anytime touchdown because right now that is currently paying over even money. You can get it at plus 165 on FanDuel. That's another good one to take a look at if you're looking to juice up your parlays. And if you wanted to play an over-under here, would definitely recommend an under. Again, just pointing back to last week with, these teams are tired coming into these Thursday night games. They're just looking to get by with a win. They don't care how many points they do that by. The line on this one is 41.5. I would recommend taking the under on that as well. That's all I got, Keon.
And that'll do it for us. One last look at the text line, and T-Licious just says, wish me luck. He's got a 10-leg parlay.
Let's go, T-Licious.
Now, it's got some stuff that we just advised against, but it is a $1 bet. So he's not putting up the farm for it. Would pay out $366 if he could get the Justin Herbert over 229.5 passing yards. Bo Nix over 222.5 passing yards. Justin Herbert over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Bo Nix over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Cortland Sutton receiving over 62.5. And then anytime scorers for Gus Edwards, Lad McConkey, Cortland Sutton, Bo Nix. Good luck, man. Daily Blender coming up next.
I'm Taylor Bishotti with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. With 3 games left in the regular season, the Falcons deciding the future is now, announcing rookie Michael Penix will start